Hey, it's Dave Wyman from Bob, Dave, and More. It's time for Football 101, and disappointing loss for the Seahawks. I mean, not even scoring a touchdown down in LA. I really thought that the Seahawks were gonna manhandle the Rams because they were so physical against Minnesota, and I think that was something that maybe they could have been more physical and probably realized that now. But let's look at a play, and I think it was frustrating to a lot of people. Robert Woods, my gosh, it seemed like and he did. He had over 100 yards. So did the tight end. So that's for another time. But as far as what they were running and some of the things that hurt the Seahawks, this was a play, first quarter, 7:53, 3rd and 4, ends up going for 19 yards. And what happened on this play, on this side, first of all, the receiver comes off and just kind of blocks Bradley McDougald. I mean, the Seahawks get called for offensive pass interference all the time. You could have called that there. But then what the other side did is these guys all kind of ran across here and were kind of setting up almost like a screen. And so, that's one of the things that when you have man-to-man coverage, because what ends up happening is Woods does a little stutter step and then comes all the way across. So, but I'll tell you who did a good job on this. Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner actually dropped back and then shoved, I think it was Gurley. And that's the thing that you can do. You can collision receivers within 5 yards and you can hit them as hard as you want. And I thought, you know what, if Bobby would have hit him, it happened back in here. If he would have hit him even harder, he might have tumbled into Woods, and that would have knocked him off. But the Seahawks do this. I had a high school basketball coach. A lot of you old Sonic fans will remember, believe it or not, Tom Meschery. Tom Meschery was my high school basketball coach my senior year at Wooster High School in Reno. And one of the things that he said is, we are not going to switch off screens. We're going to fight through them. And that led to me fouling out of a lot of games in high school. But Tom was my kind of guy. He was just a tough guy, great coach, just loved him. But, this is kind of how the Seahawks are thinking, because you could sort of zone this off. And a lot of times in man-to-man coverage, when you have a situation like this, you'll say, if you're Bradley, you'll say, I'll take the inside guy, you take the outside guy, whatever comes out of this mess. And so, but the Seahawks don't do that. They just, pretty much try to keep it simple. And so Trey Flowers, unfortunately, backs up a little bit, and then he's like in a trail position the entire time. But like I said, Bobby did a good job of collisioning this. If he'd have hit him harder, it might have, gone up into Woods' legs and maybe knocked him out. But it ended up, like I said, it ended up going for 19 yards. And this is one of those plays where I feel like if the Seahawks were way more physical against what is a finesse team, I feel like they could have had a little bit more success. So, thought back to the Super Bowl last year, and a team that really handled the Rams were the Patriots. And we've seen teams do that, and it's always because they're physical. And this was a play in Super Bowl 53, and I wrote up here, Collision Low Crossers, which is the name of a book written by Nicholas Davidoff, and a really good book. But it's just a term that they have of anything inside of 5 yards, you can hit them. You can hit receivers as long as the ball's not out of the quarterback's hands. So what happened on this play, and I really only put Kyle Van Noy up here because I thought he was something that he was, by far the most pivotal on this play. But they tried to pin the defensive end with this receiver. This guy runs down the field, and what they did, and you see this a lot, they had Josh Reynolds run across the formation, and what he was gonna do is leak out into the flat out here, and you had Jared Goff rolling out this way. Kyle Van Noy starts to he's the edge guy, so he starts to kind of rush. I'm sorry, here he is. He starts to rush the passer a little bit and then just dips his shoulder back inside and just blows up Josh Reynolds, knocks him on his butt. So what happens is, Jared Goff ends up sort of running out of bounds and throwing it out of bounds. And, but I thought this play right here, that's the way you kind of have to handle this finesse team, is if you're able to knock receivers down in that first 5 yards. And I think if you're physical with them, then the Rams, they become a lesser team. And we've seen teams do that to them. But, that's why I'm doing radio and not the head coach. I'm sure they've already thought of these kinds of things. But, hopefully going forward, this loss to the Rams will get the Seahawks fired up. They got to win the rest of them, and they'll be the #1 seed. So really exciting, and hopefully something good comes out of that loss against the Rams.